I'm here with Robin Seeger, internationally renowned keynote speaker who has given both motivational and business talks to organizations all across the world, including companies like Microsoft, IBM, and Coca-Cola. Now, besides speaking, Robin has also written several books, including the bestseller, Natural Born Winners. And next to speaking and writing, Robin's also a successful stand-up comedian, and he thoroughly enjoys skydiving, as far as I can see. So first of all, I just want to thank you, welcome and thank you for taking the time, Robin.
My pleasure, absolutely pleasure.
So, as you know, Next Wave Leadership is a platform that aims at really inspiring the next wave of leaders in our society. So to kick things off, I just want to ask you, what's your definition of leadership? What's a leader in your eyes?
You know, it's one of those questions I often get asked, and it's a bit like asking what is happiness, because we've all got our own ideas of what happiness could be. It's very subjective. Leadership too is quite a subjective topic. So for me, leadership, my definition of leadership is a person whom others follow.
Right.
That's it. You know, because you can give a person a job title and make them very senior, but if they don't have the trust,
right,
and the confidence of those below them, then the people will do what they're told out of fear or a need to keep their job, but they're not following the person out of faith, trust, and belief, which are, so for me, the best definition of leadership is a person in a position that others willingly.
Yeah, as you said, rather leading or inspiring people out of faith rather than fear. I think that's really powerful. But I know you've obviously spoken at multiple companies and organizations, I think of all different sizes. So you've probably spoken with companies that have been less successful, companies that have been very successful. Now, from your experience of interacting with leaders of these companies as well, what were some, let's say, characteristics that you noticed that really differentiated these successful companies from the less successful companies?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. It comes down to, there's a couple of things. They're very subtle, but they're incredibly powerful. The first one is absolute self-belief, a belief in their ability to succeed, a belief in their being justified as believing that, which is kind of a paradox, but they actually think I have every right to believe I'm the best because I really believe I'm the best. Right. And this is often instilled in them by their leadership, by their managers, by their direct supports, by their colleagues, this sense of we can do this, we can make things happen. Mm-hmm. And it's a very subtle thing, belief, because you can't give someone a belief. Someone accepts it to be true or they don't.
Right.
And the less successful companies, you tend to have more of a blame culture. In the more successful companies, you have more of a praise culture. But what's interesting is in the praise cultures of the successful company, it's a genuine praise culture based on fact. So it's not a case of saying, you're great, you're all really great when you're performing badly. You're told you're great when you're performing well. And this, so these people think, well, that feels good, I want more of that. And the blame cultures, it's like all the troubles are going, hey, listen, we're losing business to this company, our market share is declining, and it's your fault. And you do something about it because it's a tough market for everybody. So that's one of the things I see. The second thing I see is there is a sort of a good, what I call can-do attitude. They just believe whatever comes their way, they can overcome it. Now, I'm seeing this with a lot of younger startup companies, this very strong belief. Now, sometimes the belief has got to be based on reality and fact, because a lot of young startups who think we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and they just blow a lot of money and don't go anywhere. So they haven't really researched the market. But the big difference, I mean, in its simplest term, is the more successful companies truly believe. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important for two reasons. One, when they believe it, it's infectious. That kind of confidence and self-belief is infectious, so it permeates the whole organization. But the second reason, which is more important, is it actually influences their customers. Their customers get a sense of it.
Right.
If you want to look at a very simple and slightly cliched example, if you look in the military services, there's always a special forces. Every country's got their special forces.
Right.
And in Great Britain, they've got a thing called the SAS, which is the Special Air Service. Now, their very name tells you they believe they're special.
Right.
When they are in any position going into any form of military operation, the people that are going to be facing them are immediately intimidated by the sense of, oh gosh, we're up against these people. So that's why that sense of self-belief is so important.
Right. So really the belief level is one of the key, as you said, defining factors. And as you say, the belief really starts with the leader, and then it permeates throughout the organization. It's contagious. But I like what you pointed out. There's a fine line between, let's say, belief and disillusionment, right? Where
I think there's a fine line between belief and delusion.
Yeah.
And if you look at someone, again, I don't like using military as an example exclusively, because the military scenario is not a commercial world. It's a live and a lose. That's it.
Exactly.
But in industry, there are leaders who everybody, the staff love them. From the ground floor up, they love them.
Right.
In the military, there were generals and admirals that were just loved by the men and women that served under them. And because they believed in their hearts that this person had their best interests at the center of their view. So when they said, everything I'm doing is I want to look after these people. So,
right. No, I think that's very important. I think, as you said, especially for a lot of startups, people have big dreams, and that's important, but there's a quote that I heard and that I try to live by is, be a dreamer, but don't live in a dream world. Right.
Yeah, no, listen, I think that's a great quote, because I think that, in the dream world, everything's perfect.
Right, exactly.
It's like, I can't remember who said it was, that said it's the people who dream when they're awake are the people who make things happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when you dream when you're sleeping, it's the dream world. When you dream you're awake, it's the world of the imagination.
Exactly. Now, who is somebody that you look up to as a leader? Whether it's it can be whether it's someone, a personal, let's say, friend, family member, or someone that you've met through business or you've heard of. Who's someone that you look at?
It's you can look at historically.
Yeah.
And often in the world of history, I used to look at people who were explorers, because I always thought that to be an explorer is like being in business. You have an idea that somewhere out there is something that's never been seen or discovered, and you believe in your heart of hearts that you're going to discover it. You then have to create a team around you to go and do this. And there was a fellow called Ernest Shackleton, who in 1914 wanted to try and walk across or get the South Pole. It had never been done. Wow. And it's a phenomenal undertaking. Anyway, he sailed down there. It was a very strong winter. The boat sank. They lived in an iceberg. It was just one of these things. But he brought every man home alive under the most phenomenal circumstances. And the men that served under him until the day they died, they loved him. He just said, because they called him boss. And to me, that's someone that I can look up to and think, what a great example of leadership. But sometimes, I often use the example of my favorite teacher. There was a teacher at my school who I just thought the world of. He brought the subject alive. He was enthusiastic. He was very fair. He was quite harsh in his discipline. But you knew he loved his subject. He loved geography. He wanted you to love it too. And whenever he said anything, you think, yeah, I'll go with that. So sometimes leadership doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be theatrical. And a lot of people who are very, what you call charismatic leaders are, dysfunctional human beings. I mean, let's not imagine that great leaders are necessarily great people. That's not, don't bestow upon them qualities. Some of them are sociopaths who, obsessives. So I think we often get this wrong. We think to be a great leader, you have to be a great person. Yeah. Now, I mean, I don't want to say anything controversial, but history will show us there's been some people who have achieved colossal things.
Right.
In Russia and China. And you see these leaders who destroy countries. To have risen themselves to that position of leadership takes a colossal amount of influence.
Right, definitely. I think that's interesting also that you mentioned coming back to your teacher, the example of your teacher, also the passion that comes with it. I mean, when you're when you have an initial passion and then you believe in that passion, I think those two factors combined, as you said, it's without even trying to act as a leader, you automatically emit that, let's say, leadership presence.
Yeah, true. You can't, you know, if you read a book on how to be a leader, it wouldn't make you a leader.
Right, exactly.
If you read a book on swimming, it wouldn't show you how to swim.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you know, one other thing that I wanted to touch upon was, obviously you have lots of experience speaking in front of crowds, whether it was through comedy or through your talks. Now, how important is it for leaders to be able to, you know, communicate and be able to actually, let's say, publicly speak? How important is that in your opinion?
I think I'm trying to think at the moment of any high-profile leader who wasn't a good communicator, and
right.
The truth is that they all generally are good communicators, not exclusively, right. But generally they're good communicators. And often I've been at conferences where the chief executive or the boss gets up and they don't use notes and they walk around the stage and they're just talking to the audience as though, wow, you know, and everyone thinks this person's talking just to them because they're very intimate, they're very personal.
Right.
So I think it's a very good skill that they have learned over the years, how to communicate, and a lot of them get a lot of coaching.
Right, coaching. Okay.
A lot of coaching. So don't just imagine no one is born a great speaker. That's just not true. You know, you mentioned I was a stand-up comic. I'm not currently, I haven't done it for many years, but right. I think for many years, over 12 years, my picture still hangs in the premier comedy club in Europe, the Comedy Store. So
wow.
got my wings there, but no one is a naturally brilliant speaker. People are born with a capacity to communicate, and other people are born with a capacity to be leaders. And I'll give you an example. You can go to a primary school and watch 6-year-old children come out at playtime, 40 children running into the playground. There'll be 1 or 2 children to whom other people will gravitate.
Yeah.
And they'll organize a game, or they'll organize a chase, or they'll organize it. These people have got a quality that others identify as, we'll go and ask them because they'll know what we should do.
Right.
Yeah,
I totally agree with that. Actually, I use the exact same word, gravitate. I think that's so important that you see. I think these real, let's say, true, genuine leaders, again, without acting, with just being themselves, they emit this how can I say, vibration, this energy, and other people gravitate towards it. And it's hard to describe because it's more of a feeling.
Incredible confidence. You know, I mean,
yeah.
It's like you go to a hospital and you've had a bad injury and there's 2 doctors at the door, and one of them, you just think, that's the guy I want to look after me. That you have an intuitive sense. Now, it may serve you wrong, but I mean, I think that one of the things with leadership is that leadership, and it's a curious thing, it's a quality that I think some people will never have, you know, and right. And you never get the respect of their peers, they never get the respect of their colleagues. I don't know why that is. I really don't know why it is. And I've got my thoughts and theories as to why it is. And there's other people who covet power, so they want to be, they're really ambitious, but they're very good at learning how to influence people.
Right.
A book was written many years ago called How to Win Friends and Influence
People. Yeah, Carnegie. Yeah.
Dale Carnegie, and I never read the book until I was in my 40s because I thought
right.
it was a ridiculous title to a book. And gosh, I wish I'd read it 20 years earlier, because everything in that book's spot on.
Spot on, right? Yeah, it's all about.
I say to people, you want to be a leader, you want to be an influencer, read this book. And they go, and I go, look, read the book.
So How to Win. So that's one book that you could definitely recommend to people.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's a very simple book, but it's a very powerful book. I mean, people will say to me, well, should I read the 42 Laws of Power? Should I read The Art of War? Should I read? I said, look, none of these things are going to teach you
right.
how to be a leader. You leader from leading. And I said, let me give an example. I'll get people in a company and we'll have a chat. And they say, well, I want to talk to you about next year's sales projections. And I'm thinking, okay. So they talk about next year's sales projections and the initiatives and the new web platform and the new distribution channel.
Yeah.
And the fact they're partnering with this and that. And the guy said, and I'm listening to the guy, I'm thinking,
right.
This sounds pretty dull. And he doesn't seem that engaged by it.
Exactly.
Telling it to. And then in the course, he'll say, "Oh, I hear you wrote a golf book," and I go, "Yeah, I wrote 3 golf books." And the guy goes, "Oh man, I played at the weekend." I said, "How'd you get on?" He goes, "Oh, you know, now he gets passionate.
Yeah.
Now suddenly he's alive."
Yeah, exactly.
Now the key is, unless you have a passion for the subject upon which you're talking, you're not going to communicate it across very well. It's just going to come across as dry material. And I think what leaders do is that passion is everywhere in every speech, whether they're talking about the new platform, the distribution partners, and whatever.
Right.
It just, listen, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. It's going to be great. I mean, if you listen to Donald Trump, and whatever you may think about him, he'll say this, it's going to be great. I built fantastic. It's always, he's using very positive language continued. Now, the fact that a lot of people might kind of look at it and go, I'm not sure if I'm buying into this anymore. But, you know, he's a good communicator in many ways.
Yeah.
Equally, I don't think he self-edits very well. I don't think he fact checks as he goes along, because he's looking for the soundbite. And he found, well, put America first, make America great again.
Yeah, so I think that also comes from his extensive experience in business. Through
Absolutely.
Right?
How to win friends and influence people.
Exactly.
Yeah, and business is exactly as business is about winning. It's about being profitable, doing well. And people, they say, well, he's done this, he's done that. I don't know Donald Trump from Adam. I have no idea, and I'm not going to pass comment or judgment to any public figure. But it's simply his background, his toolkit is different from someone who's been a lifelong politician, because they have a different toolkit. Exactly.
Right. So the last thing I want to touch upon with you is, you know, we've covered a few different questions and topics. Now, for people who are really keen on developing their leadership, especially in the 21st century, given the fact that a lot of dynamics have changed, you know, compared to, well, let's say just in the past 10, 15, 20 years, you know, the landscape of the 21st century has dramatically changed. What is one thing that you would really recommend people to work on if they want to develop their leadership in the 21st century? What is one skill or one area that you believe people should work on in the 21st century?
Okay, in the 21st century, I think it's a sort of timeless quality for people that really see themselves as being entrepreneurs that have to build up companies and lead a team, people that want to work in organizations and go up and undertake leadership responsibilities. 2 things I would recommend. Number 1 is don't have an ego. It's very easy to think, you know, to sort of have an ego and they need to be important. And the second thing is seek to serve. Don't seek to be served.
Wow.
Right? That's it. Right. Don't have a big ego. So don't go the big I am. Just be humble. Because people will identify. The second thing is always ask yourself, how can I be of more service? How can I help this person achieve their goals? How can I help this person develop the skills they need? And it is in, you know, corny as it sounds, it is in giving that we receive. Life has taught me this. You know, it's the more, you know, when you cannot, there's no saying you cannot help another person without helping yourself. And I think that leaders recognize that. I mean, I'm talking about average leaders. I'm not talking about the Joseph Stalins or the Mao Zedongs or this. I'm talking about a day-to-day workplace.
Exactly.
You know, and be ambitious, but don't be ambitious at the cost of your moral compass.
Right. So be humble.
Be humble. Be of service. You know, and be focused on what it is you are trying to achieve. And if most people that are trying to achieve personal success, wealth.
Yes.
I mean, I always think it's great. People say, "I want to build a company that helps humanity."
Right.
You want to make money.
Yeah.
You want to make money. Look, you make a lot of money, then you can help humanity. But you know, the 2 things are not mutually exclusive. And but don't let your moral compass get. I mean, don't be unethical. Don't be a bad person. Don't cheat. Don't, you know, all those things I think will help you be authentic. And when you're authentic, you're going to be more. People are going to connect to it. People are highly intuitive. I mean, I'm sure watching this interview are going to have formed opinions about me in the first 2 minutes, and they may by the end of the interview go, "Yeah, I think that guy's turned out the way I thought he would," or not. You can't say, but people do have quite a good sense of intuition. So
definitely. So yeah, I love what you say. You know, humble, let go of that ego, be of service to others. Again, the more you give, as you say, the more you get.
Because people will open up to you and help you.
Exactly.
You're good to other people in time, given the chance, they'll be good to you.
Right. And it's like from How to Win Friends and Influence People. I mean, people won't care what you say until they know that you care about them.
One thing he says is people love the sound of their own names. So he says use people's names frequently. Well, that's a very small thing. I mean, and if you look at people like Bill Clinton, who was a charismatic, and anyone that met Bill Clinton said, "Wow, I think we had a connection."
Yeah.
And I know people that met Bill Clinton
right
12 years apart, and
wow.
they said 12 years later he remembered my name.
Wow.
And that's just a gift that he had. He had a phenomenal recall with names and faces. He would meet people 12 years apart and go, "Hey, Robin, good to see you again. How's things? You still playing golf?" People go, "Whoa, I must have made such an impression on him. He couldn't forget me."
Yeah.
Well, he just remembered your name. The other thing is when he talked to you, he gave you his full attention. And people said, you're in a crowded room, you're talking to Bill Clinton, he just holds your gaze, holds your gaze. I mean, simple things.
Simple, but powerful, right.
The most powerful things generally are the simplest. Right.
Well, with that, I'd like to, wrap this, short interview up. I mean, I think there was a lot of valuable content that you shared.
Delighted if there's any nuggets of wisdom there that are of help to anyone, I'm delighted.
Perfect. So thank you very much for your time, Robin. And I look forward to speaking to you soon.
We will do. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.